Imagine this for a moment. You wake up one morning, the world is quiet. Your phone is silent. Nobody has texted you. Nobody has asked how you slept. Nobody is checking if you're okay. And then it hits you. Most of the world is too busy living their own lives to care deeply about yours. This realization feels heavy at first, almost cruel. Because from childhood, we're conditioned to believe that people are watching us, that they care about every mistake we make, every stumble, every flaw. We think we are at the center of attention, the main character in everyone else's story. But the truth? You're not. I'm not. None of us are. And strangely, once you accept this fact, that no one really cares as much as you think they do, something profound begins to happen. The chains break, the pressure lifts, the fear of judgment dissolves. Suddenly you are free to act, to live, to build, to stumble, to rise again. This is not cynicism, this is Stoicism, because the Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus, understood a timeless truth. That freedom is born not when people finally applaud you, but when you no longer depend on their applause at all. And today, we're going to dive deep into this philosophy. We're going to explore why accepting that no one cares changes everything. We'll see how this insight liberates you from fear, from anxiety, from comparison. We'll look at the wisdom of the Stoics, who faced emperors, wars, and death, and yet discovered peace, simply because they no longer needed the world's approval. If you stay with me for the next 20 minutes, you'll see how this one mental shift can transform your mindset, your courage, your discipline, and your life itself. Let's start with the hard truth. Nobody thinks about you as much as you think they do. Psychologists call this the spotlight effect. We assume others are analyzing our mistakes, judging our failures, replaying our awkward moments. But in reality, people are too busy worrying about their own problems, their own insecurities, their own battles. Seneca once said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." That's exactly what happens when you obsess over what others think. You suffer in your mind, while in reality, they've already forgotten. So the first freedom comes in realizing no one cares. And that's not sad, that's power. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of Rome, had more eyes on him than anyone in history. And yet, in his meditations, he reminded himself, "Soon you will have forgotten the world, and soon the world will have forgotten you." He wrote this as the most powerful man alive. If even the emperor knew the world's attention was fleeting, what about us? The truth is, even if people care, it is temporary. They'll talk for a day, maybe a week. Then the news cycle moves on, the gossip fades, the judgment disappears. Understanding this gives you the courage to do what matters instead of wasting life worrying about whispers. Epictetus, born a slave, taught one of Stoicism's most powerful lessons. Some things are in your control, and some things are not. Other people's opinions, not in your control. Your actions, your discipline, your choices, completely in your control. When you accept that no one cares, you stop trying to manipulate what isn't yours. You stop bending your life to fit someone else's approval. Instead, you pour all your energy into what is yours. Your mind, your effort, your character. That's where freedom lives. Why do so many people live paralyzed? Because they fear the judgment of others. They live for their parents' approval, their peers' admiration, strangers' validation on social media. But the Stoics remind us, this is slavery. Seneca said, "He who seeks wisdom is a free man. He who seeks approval is a slave." When you stop seeking care from others, you release yourself from this invisible prison. So how does life change when you embrace this Stoic truth? You become fearless. Fear of embarrassment vanishes. You finally launch that business, start that channel, write that book, because you know the world isn't obsessing over your failure. You gain discipline. No one is clapping when you wake up early. No one is impressed when you eat clean or study late. But when you accept no one cares, you stop performing for applause. You start performing for yourself. You stop comparing. Comparison fades when you realize nobody's scoreboard matters. Everyone is too wrapped up in their own struggles to truly care if you're ahead or behind. You find peace. The noise quiets down. You stop replaying every awkward moment in your head. You stop imagining invisible audiences. You start living. You build inner strength. The Stoics believed true power was self-rule. Accepting no one cares pushes you inward. It forces you to cultivate resilience, wisdom, courage, because the world won't carry you. So, how do you practice this in daily life? When you fail, remind yourself, no one is replaying your mistake at night. They're worried about their own. When you succeed, don't get addicted to applause. People will cheer today and forget tomorrow. When you feel anxious, zoom out. In the grand scheme, most of your worries will not even be remembered next week, let alone in 100 years. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Consider how soon everything is forgotten. Look at the endless abyss of time." This perspective doesn't make life meaningless. It makes it lighter. It frees you. When you accept no one cares, you stop being a prisoner of opinions. You stop being paralyzed by fear. You stop wasting your life trying to please invisible judges. You finally live. You finally build. You finally become free. That is Stoicism in action. And that is why, when you accept no one cares, everything changes.